Thanks, Paul. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Ram Hare Krishna, again?
I don't think there's enough food for the tea.
Don't worry. So far, so good here. Hare Krishna, Jai Shri Prabhupada. Vishnupadaya, Krishna Pastaya, Krishna Mate, Bhakti Vedanta, Swaminiti Namine, Namo Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Pastaya, Bhutale, Bhakti Vedanta, Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachari Srisha Sanyavadi Prasachari Shatari Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachari Ashtatari Shatari Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadara Shivasari Gauravatta Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadara Shivasari Gauravatta Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Hare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari 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 Gopi Jana Balaba Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Balaba Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Balaba Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Balaba Girivaradhari Yasodanandana Bhajajanarandana Yasodanandana Bhajajanarandana Yasodanandana Bhajajanarandana Yasodanandana Bhajajanarandana Yamuna Tira Anachari Yamuna Tira Anachari Yamuna Tira Anachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Oh Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare Bolo Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Jaya Prabhupada Jai Om Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Parivajacharya Shrekha Sadashresi Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Ananta Kota Vaishnavinda Ki Nama Acharya Shlahridas Thakur Ki Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Ki Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakund Radhakund Giri Govardhan Ki Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Ganga Maya Ki Yamuna Maya Ki Tulasi Deva Ki Bhakti Deva Ki Samaveta Bhaktivinda Ki Lord Chaitanya's Harinama Sankirtanam Ki Prihat Madanga Ki Shri Prabhupada Ki Shri Gaurnitai Ki Shri Radha Madhava Ki Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai Gauda Premanandi. All glorious to the assembled devotees. All glorious to the assembled devotees. All glorious to the assembled devotees. All glorious to Shri Guru and Garanga. All glorious to Shri Prabhupada. Eva Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaudavani Pracharine Navasesha Sunyavadi Pastachari Shatani Panchakalpa Turu Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna. Welcome everybody, wherever you are. We're in France, of course, as usual. And wherever you are, we offer our blessings, our best wishes to all of you. Some of you are in areas where there's, let's say, more turmoil than normal. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj said, material world means turmoil and annoyance. There's no end of, let's say, challenges from the various sources of suffering in this world. Devotees in Australia, at least some of them, may be facing flood issues. And then, of course, in Europe, there are various kinds of issues. And worldwide, we always have pandemic still continues, so they say. And what to say? So many other issues in Srimad Bhagavatam has appeared. And in order to give relief to our conditioned souls, and especially we see in the third chapter, Srimad Bhagavatam, very famous verse in the third chapter of the first canto. Krishne svadamo pagate dharma gyati divisaha kolonashta drisham isha puranarko dunoditaha. Sutta Goswami is answering the questions of the sages, people all over the world, everyone, even those species of life in their own language are asking questions, searching out answers, where to get their necessities, where to find relief, where to find somewhere to live, where to find a job, where to find money, where to find happiness, and on we may go with questions and answers. But the questions of the sages of Naimisharanya were not ordinary questions. They are very special questions which Sutta Goswami praised. Munayo Sadaprishtoham Bhavadbir Lokamangalam Yat Gita Krishna Samprashno Yenatma Suprasidati. Sutta Goswami said, your questions are truly worthy because they relate, they're in relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And thus, they are of welfare to all the living entities, all the worlds, everyone in the world. They're for the benefit of everyone. Their questions pertained, well, one of them was how to solve the problem. People are suffering in this world. How to solve that. Also, because Krishna had just apparently departed from this world, from external vision, and accompanied by knowledge, religion, etc. To whom have religious principles gone? Who will be the protector now? Where will we find true religious principles? So we just a few weeks ago we heard the verse of Laipung San Paro Dharma Yuto Bhaktir Haikshiri Vahatikiya Patiyataya Yatma Suprasidati. The topmost religious principles are those which of course are related to the Lord. They're Ahaitikya Pratiyata. They are unmotivated. That means there's no material motivation. Srimad Bhagavatam starts off, second verse, Dharma Pujita Kuitavotra Paramona Matsaranam Satam. Pujita Kuitava means cheating propensity. In fact, we find in the 5th chapter of this first canto how Narada Muni appears on the scene and is chastising, of all people, Srila Vyasadeva, the compiler of the Vedas, the compiler of the Puranas, the compiler of Mahabharata, so many other scriptures, Vedanta Sutra. And still, Narada Muni is accusing him of cheating. Why? Because he had not sufficiently emphasized the ultimate goal of the Vedas, the goal of life, devotional service to Krishna, had not been emphasized sufficiently. So then, on the inspiration of Narada Muni, Srila Vyasadeva, in his deep meditation, compiled Srimad Bhagavatam, the welfare of all. Is not motivated by desire for heavenly elevation. Most of the Vedas, Krishna says, Trigunya Vishayaveda, Nistrigunya Bhavarjuna. Krishna says to Arjuna, rise above the Vedas, O Arjuna. The Vedas deal mainly with the 3 modes of material nature. They're very flowery, they're very attractive, Krishna explains. But they do not release one. The Vedas may bring one up to the point of moksha, and follows that section of the Vedas. But primarily they're dealing with elevation within the material world. They barely mention Ahaitikya Pratiyata, unmotivated, uninterrupted devotion. Some indirect mentions are there. But predominantly, people study the Vedas or try to apply the instructions of the Vedas for material progress. That doesn't mean necessarily progress that we talk about in this world, technology, etc. It means elevation to a better life form. Even if you've got all the best technology on the planet, you're still stuck in a fallible human form with all of its challenges, shortcomings. So intelligent persons, even materially speaking, spiritually speaking, they worship the Lord, transcend this whole world of duality. But in the material world, at least they will be aspiring for a better life form with less suffering, longer life form and more enjoyment. I think everybody would like that if they could get it. Materially longer life form. Science is so busy trying to extend life. They're not succeeding, but they're trying to conquer nature. If you could live for millions of years with lots and lots of material happiness, you don't experience hardly any old age, hardly any disease. Death comes on the spot. Even pregnancy is immediate birth. There's no pains of childbirth, etc. And so on. And most people would probably be interested in that and want to speak of it, enjoying heavenly delights and so on. But even that is foolish. Krishna describes such persons as fools, because even that has its beginning and end. And even the relatively speaking, it may be more pleasing, but absolutely speaking, it is not. It is still wrought with all kinds of shortcomings and limited. Comparatively speaking to spiritual happiness, it is totally insignificant. Insignificant. Like a drop of water in a calf's hoof print. A shallow canal. Not much, very small compared to the great reservoir of bhakti or devotional service. So Narada Muni emphasized to the Srila Vyasadeva, you're denying people, practically speaking, this real opportunity, the real purpose of religion, which is to serve the supreme personality of Godhead. It is not to attain material results, but to please Krishna, Haritoshnam. This is the goal of religion. Tapumbi Advita Shrestha, Varnashrama Vibhagasya, Svanusita Dharmasya, Sangsidhir Haritoshnam. The goal of religion is to please the personality of Godhead, no matter what our position is. And that you've missed. In the name of presenting the Vedic knowledge, you've missed the point. What is the use of knowledge if it doesn't reach the goal? We go around in circles, samsara circles, or end up merging into the Brahman, a kind of non-constitutional position, or let's say limited to only one aspect of the soul's constitution, the eternal aspect, not experiencing complete knowledge or bliss. Is the bliss of Brahmanda, but it's only in relationship to relief from the material world and existing eternally. You could say a suspended state almost. And whatever type of happiness that is, I don't know. It's certainly nothing compared to loving reciprocation, the rasa of Krishna consciousness, of loving, unending loving exchanges with the Supreme Lord. So Narada Muni is rightfully, by the arrangement of the Lord, we could say, rightfully guiding and directing Srila Vyasadeva as his spiritual leader, spiritual guide, spiritual master. And then Vyasadeva, of course, has compiled the Vedic literatures. And the Srimad Bhagavatam, which we're now about to read from, is that's the cream of all the Vedic literatures, the ripened fruit of the Vedas, the Srimad Bhagavatam. And everyone likes ripened fruit. Unripe fruit may be cooked, but it's not very tasty in of itself. When it becomes ripe, the rasa, the taste is there. So now the conversation which is taking place in the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam is between Sutta Goswami and the sages of Naimisharanya. And this is where Vyasadeva brings in the questions of the sages, relevant questions, very relevant. Especially in our present age, it's easy to see their relevance. So much suffering. Manda samanda matio manda babu padrita. Poor persons, they are so unfortunate, or lazy, quarrelsome, misguided, and above all, always disturbed. Always quarreling and disturbed and so on. Lazy for spiritual life, that's for sure. And misguided. Short-lived also. We may think we're living longer lives, but in reality, it's not so. It's just a relative thing again. Maybe some are living longer than what, I don't know. people used to live thousands of years. Now they're living maybe 100 if they're lucky or unlucky, maximum, practically speaking. And the other factors are easy to relate to Kali Yuga. So what is the hope in Kali Yuga? So the Srimad Bhagavatam, Sutta Goswami says, this Bhagavat Purana, because he'd heard the Bhagavat Purana from Parikshit Maharaj or from Shukadeva Goswami, speaking to Parikshit Maharaj on the banks of the Ganga. And Sutta Goswami was there, and he then went to Naimisharanya to speak Srimad Bhagavatam, or this famous verse. This Bhagavat Purana is as brilliant as the sun, and it has arisen just after the departure of Lord Sri Krishna to his own abode, accompanied by religion, knowledge, etc. Persons who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of ignorance in the age of Kali shall get light from this Purana. Darkness, ignorance is the source of suffering, of fear, anxiety, and so on. As that darkness is removed by the brilliant light of Srimad Bhagavatam. Prabhupada himself says this Bhagavatam will create a kind of revolution. I can't find it at the moment. A revolution in the lives of people in this age. Very beautiful purport. And you can put it on the board if you want, Rasikananda. We will read the purport. It's such a wonderful purport. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. This Bhagavat Purana, this is brilliant as the sun, and it has arisen after the departure of Lord Sri Krishna to his own abode, accompanied by religion, knowledge, etc. Persons who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of ignorance in this age of Kali shall get light from this Purana. And the purport. Just give me a second. I apologize, by the way, for a little late start this morning. We had mechanical difficulties. We couldn't find the key to the office. New locks had been placed on the door, and we came with our old keys, and they didn't fit, and we didn't know that locks had been changed, and nobody seemed to have the lock for the new key, the key for the new lock. So anyway, we're online now. And this year, by the way, is a very special year. You may know that this is the 50th anniversary of the installation of Radha Madhava in Mayapur. Very wonderful occasion, especially for the devotees in Mayapur, to celebrate this golden jubilee, right? 50 years, golden jubilee of the deity's installation. There's a few other factors this year. A very significant one is the 100th anniversary, 1922, when Srila Prabhupada first met his spiritual master in Altadanga. So you may be aware on the news that there's been some special celebrations there in Altadanga, the Gaudiya Math Center in Calcutta, where Prabhupada first met, one of them, first met Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj on that most incredible moment of their meeting. And I believe, I don't think I'm wrong, I think that temple is now under ISKCON. I think so. I think they've made some, I don't know the details. I believe it's now managed by ISKCON devotees also. So it is a very special place, maybe very, very special. I'm sure we can all remember our very first contact with Krishna consciousness. My first contact was in 1971 But it's this month, 1972, March 72, when I moved into the temple in the very place. Also a 50th anniversary there, moving into the temple. In July is our 50th anniversary of initiation from Srila Prabhupada. So this year is a 72, is a lot of, and we all the time now, of course, there are 50th anniversaries and so on and so forth of different installations. I think in many of your temples, there will be a 50th anniversary this year or next year also. So it's nice to remember these wonderful appearances of the Lord. You said they're like local Janmastamis, local meetings with connections with the spiritual eternal path. So we're going to read the purport to this amazing verse. Lord Shri Krishna has his eternal dham or abode, where he eternally enjoys himself with his eternal associates and paraphernalia. And his eternal abode is a manifestation of his internal energy, whereas the material world is a manifestation of his external energy. When he descends to the material world, he displays himself with all paraphernalia in his internal potency, which is called Atma Maya. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that he descends by his own potency. There's a beautiful verse, it's in the 4th chapter actually of the Gita, and I've forgotten it. We used to learn all these verses, where Krishna describes how when he appears in his eternal form. He doesn't take a material form, even though he's the Lord of all living entities. Anyway, there's a very amazing verse. There's some, I don't know if you have a Bhagavad Gita here. You're about four, I don't know what number, 4-7, maybe 4-6, 4-8, somewhere in that region, I think. Yeah, if you find it, you can pass it to me. Okay, Namacharya.
4-7.
Well, that's Janma Karma, isn't it? 4-7. He descends.
Yes.
Yeah, so maybe the one after or before, maybe immediately before. His form, name, fame, paraphernalia, abode, etc., are not therefore creations of matter. Yeah, this is it, I think. It's 4, don't know what it is, 4-6.
Yes.
Ajopi san, avyayatma, bhutanam ishvaropi san, prakritim svamadishtaya, sambhavam yatma mayaya. Krishna says, although I am unborn, my transcendental body never deteriorates. And although I am the Lord of all living entities, I still appear in every millennium in my original transcendental form. Atmamaya it's not of this world. And people, fools, Abhijananti Mamuda. Abhijananti, how does that verse go? Abhijananti. Oh my goodness, my memory is going. But fools deride me when I descend in this human form. They do not know my transcendental nature, my supreme dominion over all living entities, over all that be. They think Krishna takes an ordinary form. Abhijananti Mamudha, Manusham Tanamashita. Krishna says they're fools, they don't know, and they're missing the point. Because if we understand or accept Krishna's transcendental form, we can begin to make some progress. Just like if we can understand or at least apply the principle that the holy name is non-different than Krishna. It's transcendental. It is Krishna himself. Nama Chintamani Krishna's Chaitanya Rasa. It's not different than Krishna when we chant Krishna. It actually is. Of course, our consciousness may be polluted. We don't realize it. Krishna doesn't reveal himself fully. As I surrender unto me, I reveal myself. So we don't necessarily feel that. But We remember this. We're associating or getting the chance of associating with Krishna by chanting the holy names, by reading Srimad Bhagavatam, by worshipping the deities, in so many ways. In the association, we don't realize that prasadam. Prasadam is so important activity, and perhaps we take it a little bit for granted sometimes. The prasadam is so wonderful. I was listening to a class yesterday morning. What an amazing class Prabhupada was giving. And he was talking about how the difference between a miser, as Prabhupada describes a miser as being a kripana, and the opposite, that as brahmana. Brahmana means liberal, Prabhupada said. Devotee is liberal. He wants to distribute Krishna consciousness everywhere. And Prabhupada was saying, just like that, if we're just thinking what I can, in that nice prasadam I can get, how can I satisfy my taste? How can I have what I like to eat? Prabhupada said that means you're a miser. Miserly influence, at least. The actual Vaishnava is thinking, how can we distribute prasadam to everybody all over the world? How can we mass distribution of prasadam? As we know, it's going on now in Ukraine. Devotees are risking their lives distributing thousands of plates of prasadam daily in the metro stations of Kharkov and Kiev and so on the borders in different cities, wherever they get the chance. The temples are open for prasad distribution, and they're going wherever they can to distribute prasadam. People are suffering, and they're really appreciating prasadam so much so. They're even calling out in different places, Hare Krishna, you are our saviors. Yes, Krishna is our real savior. We sometimes forget. So this mood of giving Krishna consciousness to others, this is the most, say, powerful purificatory aspect, you could say, of our practice of Krishna consciousness. Even if we can't do it, we can help others to do it. Assist in this movement of spreading prasadam everywhere, books everywhere, Nam Sankirtan everywhere by every method we can find. It's the solution to changing the consciousness, the mentality. It's not the world that needs to be changed, it's the consciousness that needs changing. Changing governments, changing places, all goes on. That doesn't solve the problem. The root problem is our seeing things separately from Krishna. The solution is to see everything in relationship with Krishna. This is our mission. Srimad Bhagavatam teaches us this principle of how to relate everything with Krishna. As this verse and purport here explains, where have we got to in the purport? He descends to reclaim the fallen souls in his many forms. The holy name is another form. Prasadam is another form. Deity appears in the form of deity. And to reestablish codes of religion, which are directly enacted by him. Dharma, Shakshat, Bhagavat, Panitam. Religious principles come from Krishna. They're not man-made. In the Bhagavad Gita, the famous verse is also in the 4th chapter, previous to that one we just read. Yada yada hi dharmasya glaniya bhavati bharat abhyutanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijanyam. Beautiful verses. Paritvanaya sadhanam vinashaya chadushkitam dhammasam sambhavami yuge. Krishna comes to enliven his devotees, remove the not just demonic in terms of persons who are demonic, but the demonic propensities within our hearts. Kali Yuga means everyone has demon and devotee, both. You may have noticed that sometimes you feel like you're a demon, and sometimes you want to feel, maybe I could try to practice being a devotee or a servant of a devotee or devotional spirit. They're both there in the consciousness of conditioned souls in Kali Yuga. So by associating with Krishna, the demoniac propensities can be removed. Krishna kills them. Vinashaya chadushkritam. By association with Krishna. Very wonderful. Krishna establishes true religious principles in the Bhagavad Gita, which ultimately culminate in the Manmana Bhava Bhakto Madhyaji Mamnaskuru. Always think of me, worship me, offer your homage unto me, being always absorbed in me. Surely you will come to me. Krishna promises this to Arjuna. And that means surrender. Sarvadharnam parityagya mamekam sharanam braja. Surrender unto me. Give up all other shelters. Don't depend on this thing and that thing. They have their part to play. Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains so many aspects of progress on the spiritual path, but ultimately, one doesn't need to be attached to them. We will not get ultimate shelter by the various stages of yoga or the Varna ashram, whatever it may be, temporary religions, these materialistic religions and so on. They only give temporary, they're guidance. They're to guide us on the path. If we follow properly, we make progress to the next stage. But the ultimate stage of pure devotional service means you have no interest in these other things. Complete absorption. It takes some time. There's still some anarthas, some unwanted attachments may be there in our hearts. If we try to see how we can become more attached to Krishna, more attached. Sometimes when difficulties are more prominent than we're used to, then we maybe that's, in many cases we see that as an incentive to become more serious in our spiritual lives. Krishna, ultimately that's what he really desires, that his devotees become more Krishna conscious. Arrangements are made to facilitate that, in fact. Even clashing wars sometimes are allowed to take part in order to facilitate the devotees' progress in spiritual life. It's not a matter of external progress, it's internal. So we actually take shelter of Krishna and not become either taking things for granted or depending on material returns or thinking that we're safe or whatever it may be. To remind us that ultimately we're not this body, we're spirit souls, and to take shelter of Krishna in any circumstance. We'll continue with this beautiful purport. Real religion means to know God, our relation with him and our duties in relation with him, and to know ultimately our destination after leaving this material body. Most people don't know, they speculate and so on and so forth. What happens when we die? It's a mystery to most people. The conditioned souls who are entrapped by the material energy hardly know all these principles of life. Most of them are like animals engaged in eating, sleeping, fearing, and mating. Fearing is also inclusive of defense, defending. So much. It may not be defined by people as fear, but it actually calls for fear, insecurity. They are mostly engaged in sense enjoyment under the pretension of religiosity, knowledge, or salvation. They are still more blind in the present age of Quarrel or Kali Yuga. In the Kali Yuga, the population is just a royal addition of the animals. They have nothing to do with spiritual knowledge or godly religious life. They are so blind that they cannot see anything beyond the jurisdiction of the subtle mind, intelligence, or ego, but they are very much proud of their advancement in knowledge, science, and material prosperity. they can risk their lives to become a dog or a hog just after leaving the present body. They have completely lost sight of the ultimate aim of life. They don't care, many people. They eat anything as long as it tastes nice. They think they'll get some pleasure out of it. They don't realize they don't have any knowledge of the reaction for this type of behavior. They'll drink anything practically, as long as it's not poisonous. Well, it is poisonous. Intoxication means toxic. It means it's toxic, it's poison. There's various kinds of poisons, but it gives you some pleasurable experience. So I don't mind taking that risk if I get some pleasure. After all, someone was telling me something. What is that? You only live once. YOLO? No, what is it? You only live once. You only live once. I think it's called YOLO. There was a big thing I never heard of it until yesterday. Something called YOLO. There was an article called YOLO. I think it was called YOLO. You only live once, it stands for. It was philosophy which was highly pushed. So enjoy yourself as much as you can. There's no karma. There's no God. There's nothing to worry about. Eat, sleep, and be merry, for tomorrow you may die. So make the most of it. That's a common kind of can't say necessarily just behavior. It's not even philosophically looked at. It's just basically followed. The principle is followed by very many people. Some have some religious intentions, and even many of them are practicing that philosophy or lifestyle. Not realizing that what we do in this lifetime determines our next life. You can't just say sorry at the end and expect everything to, change on the spot. We have to want to change. Desire to change has to be awoken. Devotional, going to heaven is a mundane thing, but to reestablish our eternal relationship with Krishna, that's love. Love has to be a two-way thing. It's not just a cheap thing. It's developed. It develops. And the process of devotional service is the developing process. The personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, appeared before us just a little prior to the beginning of Kali Yuga. And he returned to his eternal home practically at the commencement of Kali Yuga. In fact, when Krishna left, Kali Yuga began. It wasn't long ago. I spoke on the exact date. Can't remember where it was or who it was to, but about a month ago was said to be the actual date of the beginning of Kali Yuga. The moment Krishna left the planet was the moment Kali, but because of Parikshit Maharaj and other great devotees, the effects of Kali were contained. And then gradually, of course, more and more of those effects became visible, and Kali began to influence more and more. Now Kali is very, very influential, extremely influential. Quarrelings, fightings over self-centered perspectives are all the influence of Kali. People are under the influence of Kali. While Krishna was present, he exhibited everything by his different activities. He spoke the Bhagavad Gita specifically and eradicated all pretentious principles of religiosity. And prior to his departure from this material world, he empowered Srila Vyasadeva through Narada to compile the messages of Srimad Bhagavatam. And thus both the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam are like torch bearers for the blind people of this age. In other words, if men in this age of Kali want to see the real light of life, they must take to these two books only, and their aim of life will be fulfilled. Have you ever noticed when you read the Bhagavad Gita, oh, I've read it 3 times. Well, read it 4 times. And then you realize, actually, I've not read it. It's like a new light shines. Each time, Krishna reveals himself in different ways. It's never, as Sanjay himself Again and again, he's relishing hearing Srimad, the teachings of Krishna over and over again, and they're ever fresh, not to speak of Bhagavatam. Bhagavad Gita is the preliminary study of the Bhagavatam. And Srimad Bhagavatam is the summum bonum of life, the completion, everything is there. Everything about everything is you need to know is there, complete, contained within Bhagavatam. It is Lord Sri Krishna personified, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, one who knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead without doubt is to be known as the knower of everything. We must therefore accept Srimad Bhagavatam as the direct representative of Lord Krishna. One who can see Srimad Bhagavatam can see also Lord Sri Krishna in person. They're identical. One who can see Srimad Bhagavatam can see Krishna in person. They're identical. Now it's interesting because in the next verse after that, that verse about revolution is in the 5th chapter of this mistake verse. But anyway, the next verse after the one we've just read is also an extraordinary verse. You can flick over to the next verse, Nasika. I'm not going to read this. I'll try to read the Sanskrit. We just read the English. O learned Brahmins, when Shukadeva Goswami recited Bhagavatam there, in the presence of Emperor Parikshit, I heard him with rapt attention. If you don't know what rapt attention, it means fixed or complete, undeviating attention, fully absorbed in. Rapt attention. And thus, by his mercy, I learned the Bhagavatam from that great and powerful sage. Now I shall try to make you hear the very same thing as I learned it from him and as I have realized it. It is amazing purport, Srila Prabhupada. We're going to go, we won't read the first part. The first part of the purport is the importance of hearing from the right source. Now that is absolutely essential, but we're just going to jump over that a little bit. Prabhupada says, this is that is the process. There's no alternative. To read the Bhagavatam from the right source. One should hear that is the process. You just passed by, I think you jumped over it. There you go. That is the process, and there is no alternative. If one at all wants to see Lord Krishna in the pages, Sutta Goswami, Sutta Goswami is a bona fide representative of Sukadeva Goswami because he wants to present the message which he received from the great learned Brahmin. Sukadeva Goswami presented Bhagavatam as he heard it from his great father. And so also Sutta Goswami is presenting Bhagavatam as he had heard it from Shukadeva Goswami. Simple hearing is not all. One must realize the text with proper attention. The word nivishta means that Sutta Goswami drank the juice of Bhagavatam through his ears. Oral reception. That is the real process of receiving Bhagavatam. One should hear with rapt attention from the real person, and then he can at once realize the presence of Lord Krishna in every page. The secret of knowing Bhagavatam is mentioned here. No one can give rapt attention who is not pure in mind. No one can be pure in mind who is not pure in action. No one can be pure in action who is not pure in eating, sleeping, fearing, and mating. But somehow or another, If someone hears with rapt attention from the right person at the very beginning, one can assuredly see Lord Sri Krishna in the pages of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, well, we're going to finish there. And if anyone has any questions on this wonderful subject of Srimad Bhagavatam and how we can hear with rapt attention, how we can remember at least, and by proper process, realize Krishna as being present in the Bhagavatam, holy name, and so on. Prabhupada said this is the process, is attentive hearing from the pure devotees of the Lord. Any questions from any of you wonderful devotees? I just returned last night from Paris. We were with some of our devotees who are trying to distribute teachings of Lord Chaitanya. This week is Gaur Purnima, coming up this week. And I'm sure you're all getting ready for that wonderful event, which, as you may well know, was more or less, you could say, the festival was established many years ago. Exactly how many, I don't know, but quite a long time ago, 400 to 500 years ago, by Narottam Das Thakur, Srinivasacharya, and together with Janavama, Lord Nityananda's consort, they arranged the first mass Gaur Purnima festival in Keturi Gram now in East Bengal or Bangladesh. And invited all the Vaishnavas, all the different, there were many branches of Vaishnavism at that time. Many of them were deviant, already deviant groups that started to spring up, making up their own interpretations of the practice of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. But they were all invited, and Janavama particularly, the purpose of this festival, this grand festival, was to bring unity amongst all Vaishnavas. Amongst all Vaishnavas, coming together for prasadam, kirtan, worshipping the deities in the association of Janavama, Narottam, etc. Of course, we cannot expect to, imitate such transcendental transformations, but Narottam Das's kirtan was so unifying. Prabhupada's motive was unity in diversity, but his kirtan was so unifying that even Krishna, the Panchatattva themselves, appeared in the midst of the kirtan. The great Vaishnavas who would apparently departed the world also appeared in those kirtans, as they were not of this world. They were praying and sang kirtan. So we can follow in their footsteps. We can't imitate and try to organize these festivals such as Gaur Purnima for the pleasure of the Lord and unifying everyone. The more we put Krishna in the center, the more we feed the stomach, and naturally the transformation of all the parts will take place. We can't do it independently of that. Even if we do have some so-called qualities and power or whatever, is very insignificant. We have to connect with the supreme powerhouse, and then everything is possible. Transformation can take place. So let's have a look and see if we have any comments or questions. Hare Krishna. From Jason. Thank you, Prabhu. We have to talk sometime. You have to say, please make an arrangement, okay? Do you think all devotees should study Bhakti Shastri and Bhagavatam in the organized classes, etc., in Vrindavan and Mayapur? should all devotees study it. It was not a absolute prerequisite Srila Prabhupada gave, but it was for those who wish to take initiation, particularly second initiation. Prabhupada was quite he wanted the devotees who took second initiation understand what they're doing. First initiation, there was in 1977, Prabhupada established for first initiation also Bhakti Shastri test in Mayapur, a Mayapur festival. But the test was so simple that it would be hard to imagine even a new Bhakta not being able to pass the test practically. Now our Bhakti Shastri course is a quite fairly in-depth study of certain Shastras, which is really nice. And it's very good. But it wasn't say in Prabhupada's introduction of Bhakti Shastri degree was simple. What are the three modes of nature? What's the difference between Krishna and the demigods? Who are you? It was like simple questions, you know. They weren't very, it wasn't so detailed in terms of verses and so on and so forth, or whatever. It was quite simple in those days. But basic understanding, Sambandha Gyan should be there before accepting initiation for sure, whatever form it takes. As we may have known that during Srila Prabhupada's time, it was a standard practically in most temples, at least in the preliminary years up to maybe before 75, I would say. We were having 3 to 5 classes every day in the temple. Now they weren't like Bhakti Shastri, they were just studying the book, which is basically the same thing. The temple, that's what our lives are for, to study Srila Prabhupada's books. So if a form process or procedure, like officially a Bhakti Shastri course, it aids us in studying Prabhupada's books, that sounds good. Because during Prabhupada's time, more or less, every devotee in ISKCON lived in the temple, at least especially in the first years. There wasn't really a congregation living outside. Everyone lived in the temple, so everyone was exposed to many classes every day. We studied every book. We studied every day Nectar Devotion, every day Krishna book, every day Bhagavad Gita, every day Srimad Bhagavatam, and every day Ishopanishad, Chaitanya Charitamrita had not been published. We studied them every day, and that meant almost everyone. It was like part of the program. And just the same as Mangalarti or Srimad Bhagavatam class, these other books were also studied daily. So it was a kind of a Bhakti Shastri. The temple was basically an educational institute to study the Bhakti Shastras, the devotional scriptures which teach Bhakti. But in the absence of that, both in the temple and outside of the temple, due to various factors, official courses are established. Prabhupada also wanted that. He just definitely wanted that not just Bhakti Shastri, but there should be courses for Bhakti Vaibhav, Bhakti Vedanta, and Bhakti Sarvabhauma, and so on. And not everyone's going to go through that, but the basic understanding should be there. So whatever it takes, if you're interested, if you're that way inclined, it's a very good system. Again, one point being is we're not here to become scholars necessarily, some maybe, but no, it's not armchair philosophy. We're here, practical execution of devotional service. The knowledge is to understand how I can best bring pleasure to Krishna. It's not just about, I just want to learn more and more and more and more and more. It's not about learning. It's about realization. It's about satisfying Krishna's senses. It's about getting Krishna's mercy. And of course, part of that, essential part of that is we have to hear the teachings of the great devotees of the Lord. But we also have to know how to apply it. Sometimes that is missed. The application, the realization of the philosophy comes when we practically apply what we hear. Then Krishna gives realization. Otherwise, it can remain philosophical, let's say, learning exercise. It may not be so favorable for our spiritual advancement. So it's important in the course, if we're doing these courses, to also understand how am I to apply this information in my life and to actually do it. And if we see we're becoming proud by learning, then that learning is a detriment to our spiritual life. If we're using it in inappropriate ways, it's also detrimental. If we don't learn how to utilize that knowledge, then we're missing the point. So we have to see by the results a little bit, but otherwise it's good. Next one. Oh, can't go down. Yes, I can. All right. Another question. This coming Friday is Gaur Purnima. On the day fasting and chanting, should we be breaking fast with a Kadashi or normal prashad? I can repeat what Prabhupada said. We should break it with the Kadashi prashad. And normally you fast entirely. Special mercy, compensation for this day and age we're in. Therefore, we break with the Kadashi prashadam at moonrise or something like that. Because that might be a different time in different places, but that's the idea. Lord Chaitanya appears at moonrise. So it's something in the evening, and in Mayapur it's in the evening, of course. So we break fast with the Kadashi prashad. However, we do see some situations where devotees break fast with other prasadam. Prabhupada was not a fanatic, but that's what he wrote. Is there in his letters, in his directives for Gaur Purnima. We break fast with a Kadashi prashadam at moonrise. So you may choose. It's not like a maha offense. We're going to fight with each other and start writing, letters all over the internet, condemning somebody or something. We can do that if we want to ruin our Gaur Purnima. If you want to ruin whatever benefit you've got from Gaur Purnima, you can do things like that. But get on with the real purpose of Gaur Purnima, which is to glorify Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu through the Sankirtan Yogya. And the idea is that we just take simple prasadam. It's not like all day long. I wonder if there's gulabs and cakes tonight for the breakfast. That's not the idea. Maybe a neophyte novice may be thinking like that. That's not really what we should be thinking. The breakfast is just very simple. Even Kadashi or non-Kadashi, it used to be very simple. It's become like a bit of a feast now. Why? Because we don't feast the next day. We don't actually fulfill Gaur Purnima unless you offer a proper feast the next day. It's not complete. You're supposed to on Jagannath Mishra the next day. It's Jagannath Mishra's feast when he offers a big feast. You're supposed to. Now we know a lot of people can't do that. Therefore, especially working people, they can't do it, or they can't go to the temple to honor the prasad on that day. So therefore, it's become a little bit more, of a feast on Ekadashi. So in that case, oftentimes, other preparations offered to the deities. This is not the Lord Chaitanya has to take an Ekadashi feast. He doesn't have to fast. Fasting is for us. Because normally strict Vaishnavas, they don't eat anything on Gaur Purnima. They break fast the next day. But probably never did that himself. He never emphasized it. Many, I don't know, Gaudiya Maths, they're mixed. But in most Gaudiya Maths I've been to, they take a Kadashi breakfast on that day. And that was the standard that Prabhupada gave. But it's not like, we're going to go on a warpath if somebody breaks it with a cake or something. Wonderful if you can fast. Now, if you're sick, pregnant, young, whatever it is, some other problems, you don't necessarily need to fast. And Prabhupada even said one time to a very prominent devotee in our movement now, I won't mention their name for various reasons, but that they were temple commander at the time, one temple in India, that if you're very hungry, then take some fruit during the day. But we shouldn't think, therefore, Prabhupada said I can take fruit. It's like, it's a special, if necessary, not established. It's like Prabhupada would sometimes take a drink called 7-Up. You may have heard of this drink. Once or twice, a few times here and there, he took it and said this drink is good for digestion. And he said it'd be good if devotees could make a drink similar to this. I don't think anyone ever really did it. Maybe they did. I never heard of it. But it wasn't like that. But then it became like a standard. It became like the national drink of ISKCON. And I worked out when I was a treasurer at one time in the manor that we were spending, because there's different currency in those days, but an average devotee was taking 1 or 2 7-Ups a day. And it worked out thousands of pounds a year were being spent on 7-Ups at one point in time. It was crazy, absolutely crazy. It's like, what to do? We sometimes, take advantage of these statements and positively, negatively bash someone on the head with it, or just open the doors for anything. And the devotee is liberal, but he's not a fool. So what is favorable for one's advancement in spiritual life may vary from situation to situation, person to person. But the best thing is, if you can, to follow what Prabhupada indicated, what we always did during Prabhupada's time. We broke fast with the Kadashi Prasadam at moonrise. That's all I've got to say on that one. Next one. Now, if you're in preaching, now here's another thing, just to follow on that. That doesn't mean you have to give an Ekadashi Prasad feast to the guests, by the way. Prabhupada himself said, when he was in Mayapur, you can read it on the database if you wish. One senior devotee was asking Prabhupada was asking what prasad is being served tonight. And he was saying, we're serving savadana, tomato chutney, and a few other things like that, Ekadashi preparations. And Prabhupada said, no, he said, you should serve khichdi. Khichdi. Prabhupada is Ekadashi. But Prabhupada was talking to about the public. You sit down 10,000 people and serve them savadana and, village people, public people. Some austere savadana that's like sago, just basically steamed, maybe fried sago, and tomato chutney and 1 or 2 fruit salads. So it's not necessarily, quite fitting. Plus, you can't prepare such large quantities easily either. So it's a khichdi, as normal, food for life, mass distribution of khichdi on Gopurnima. So if you have a guest program or whatever, you don't need to do an Ekadashi feast. Although some devotees will, hang you if you try to do that. They'll do everything they can to demonize you. But these are the words of Prabhupada. Well, I guess we've got other ways of interpreting. And that's my move. Prabhupada's move was to preach mass, and whatever it took. There are principles, higher principles at different stages of our maturity, and there are different principles for different people. But the ultimate goal is the same. The details may vary. Whatever it takes. People are eating meat. Otherwise, if you can fill them up with samosas and khichdi, and they don't eat their meat, you can pretty big service. Whatever it takes. If you can cook 10,000 plates and distribute 10,000 plates of khichdi on halava or something on Gopurnima, my word, will Lord Chaitanya be pleased. No, we don't do that on Gopurnima. We just distribute fruit orders. No problem if you can do enough of it. But whatever it takes, according to time and circumstance. We're here to serve Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Don't forget, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said to his mother asked him one time, something like, he said, if you have one thing I ask of you, mother, is please observe Ekadashi, which indicates that we're not necessarily even observing Ekadashi before that. For Vaishnava Mahaprasad, that's another subject altogether. Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj would not even insist that his preachers, if necessary from Bengal, of course, they could not live sometimes without rice. It was like death. And this preachers, he said, okay, then you eat rice, but preach. We're not here to fast, we're here to preach. It's necessary for even a remarkable statement to Harikesh Maharaj one time when he was preaching in Russia. During Prabhupada's time, Harikesh was trying to get out of it, actually, preaching in Eastern Europe. He said, I can't get anything to eat, Prabhupada. There's nothing to eat. He was a very kind of like dramatic person. But there's nothing to eat here, Prabhupada. I can't stay here. There's only meat. And Prabhupada said, then eat meat. You're not there to eat, you're here to preach. Do whatever is necessary to preach. Because he didn't eat meat. He was just trying to use that as an excuse to try to get out. But Prabhupada said, if you have to eat meat, you're there to preach, not there to eat. Gopanima is not for eating, it's for glorifying Lord Chaitanya. But for preaching, you do what the needful is. Whatever is necessary. Utility is the principle. Clarification, Rasavasika, you're probably better at me than these chronological things. In the Bhagavatam, there are discussions between Sukadeva and Parikshit Maharaj, as well as Sutta Goswami, and the sages which took place after the pastime of Sukadeva leaving home and then being attracted back home through hearing the Bhagavatam recitation from students of can everyone see this on the screen, or is it only me, Rasika? Can everyone see it, or only me? How does it work?
The chat, Maharaj, everyone can see it.
Everyone can see it, so I don't have to read everything. They can see it. Is it that initially Vyasadeva composed verses and orally taught his disciple, and Shukadeva Goswami later wrote down? This is the proverbial discussion on the Bhagavatam, because if you read the Puranas, the Bhagavad Purana is also mentioned amongst the 18 Puranas which had already been composed. I asked this question of Bana Maharaj one time. He said, yes, but that wasn't the full Bhagavatam. It was a kind of synopsis. And when Vyasadeva spoke to Shukadeva Goswami, he expanded on the Bhagavatam with specific clarifications. And Shukadeva Goswami heard that. Then Shukadeva Goswami, according to the circumstances, which obviously were different, Parikshit Maharaj was involved, other personalities were there, the time, place, and circumstance was different. Shukadeva expanded on the same basic truths, utilizing or quoting from various sources to give evidence to the statements or the questions of Parikshit Maharaj. But it was the same Bhagavatam, which Lord Brahma, will be here, the 4 seed verses of which Krishna spoke to Lord Brahma, expanding. Bhagavatam is not limited. One time when Prabhupada was asked in a class, I don't know where it was in America, early days, is Joan of Arc in the Bhagavatam? Now, if you're from France, you know who Joan of Arc is. She was a famous revolutionary here in France, and the British put her to death somewhere in Rouen in the north of France. But anyway, she was fighting against the British. She was a hero of the French nation. So she said, is Joan of Arc, this girl asked, is Joan of Arc in the Bhagavatam? Prabhupada thought, I don't know if you ever heard of Joan of Arc, who says, if anyone worshiping and serving Krishna, Bhagavatam is unlimited. It's not like fixed to a certain number of verses. It is unlimited. And if she's actually a devotee of Krishna, a pure devotee, everyone could be in the Bhagavatam, but I don't think she was. But anyway, whatever. But it's not a question of history, it's a question of consciousness. So whatever is necessary, the pure devotees of the Lord expand on that and reveal Bhagavatam in various ways, the glorification of Krishna. So that glorification of Krishna given by Shukadeva Goswami to Parikshit was heard by Sutta, and in different time, place, and circumstance in the Naimisharanya farce. And there are others who took that message elsewhere and also spoke in different assemblies, but we're hearing the one which is compiled by Srila Vyasadeva after the conversation in the forest of Naimisharanya. That's her understanding. But the teaching was given orally, the essential teaching orally, essence, by Srila Vyasadeva when Sukadeva was in the womb of his mother on the instruction of Narada Muni. He heard these instructions. And then Sukadeva repeated according to time and circumstance, but ultimately it's conversation within conversation within conversation, brought in according to the various questions, according to time, place, and circumstance, to illustrate, to confirm various statements, evidences, etc., etc. There could be unlimited evidences, unlimited pastimes, unlimited situations. Bhagavatam, Prabhupada said, in the heavenly planets is vast compared to this planet. Vast. What we have now is Srimad Bhagavatam. But the beauty of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is preserved as it is, or as it was compiled. Most of the Vedas are not. They're lost, only partially present. Most of the Puranas are more available in this Kali Yuga. They're more relevant anyway. Much more relevant. Srimad Bhagavatam, the most essential script, has been passed down through the Parampara to this present day. And it's always being expanded. And you read in Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the future, Srila Vyasadeva, we have Chaitanya Charitamrita. There'll be many Vyasadevas in the future who will also write expanding on this Chaitanya Charitamrita, whatever that means. I don't know. Prabhupada has done that, for instance. He's also Vyasadeva, empowered incarnation of literary incarnation of Godhead. Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj, they're all like that. Vyasadeva, that empowerment energy of the Lord through them is writing expansions on these scriptures. Unlimited. But you might know more about the actual story. Thanks for Srimad, but I 1, 3, 4. No one can be pure in mind who is not pure in action. Is the reverse also not true? That one can be pure in mind? No. What? Let's try to get these things. I find these things a little complicated for my simple intelligence. So it basically means if you're not pure in action, you can't be pure in mind. Is that what you mean? Is that what we mean here? Yes or no? Where's Rishikesh? Can't see him. Maybe he's under the screen.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Yes, that's the question, please. Thank you.
If you're not pure in action, you can't. Yes, true. They go simultaneously, of course. We realize that. That's why Prabhupada established 4 regulated principles as the basics. And we see all of our anomalies, all of our shortcomings, our behavior, and some motivations. So we work on both at the same time. That's why chanting the holy name of Krishna, service to the Vaishnavas must go on side by side. And, regulated activities, detachment, and so on, goes simultaneous, so that it goes on side by side. It's not like all one or all the other. It goes simultaneously, really. The chanting of Hare Krishna also purifies our dirty hearts here in Bhagavatam. And by executing activity or regulative activity, it regulates our lives in such a way that our actions become pure and pure. Pure and pure actions means more and more engaged in activities related to Krishna, ordained by the Guru Shastra Sadhu. It doesn't just mean more goodness. It means activities which are more and more devotional, activities connected to Krishna, offerings to Krishna. The gradual transformation, you see that in the Bhagavad Gita, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer, give away, you do it as an offering unto me. This way one becomes freed gradually from the reactions. Reactions mean not just broken legs and, headaches and stuff, but it means changing our reactions in this form of aparabdas, or tendencies and bijas within our heart, which are still influencing us from the past. They can be cleansed away also in that sense. But it goes to the point where offering, doing all these things for the pleasure of the Lord, can help cleanse away those reactions. Our activities become purified. It also helps by the grace of Krishna. The Lord cleanses our hearts. As in the case of our service, particularly in Kali Yuga, the chanting of Hare Krishna is the main activity which we do in devotional service. And the next verse, or the verse before I go in order, what's that verse? Offer me with love and devotion. How's it been? Patram pushpam patram lavam. Yomi Bhakti Priyachati. This with love and devotion. The offerings in the beginning may be mixed. They're not necessarily with love and devotion. We're doing it as a duty. We regulate it as a duty. But by following the right directions, you could say, that is a process whereby gradually, by the mercy of Krishna, Krishna cleanses our hearts, cleanses the dirt from our hearts. As unnaturally, then one develops a distaste for any activity which is not favorable or pleasing to Krishna. It's not a question of, some mechanics. It becomes more spontaneous because love comes in. When you love somebody, you can't tolerate anything which is displeasing. Not just a question of forgive me for these displeasing things. That's another lower level, you could say, of connection. If you think something is displeasing, you will do whatever you can to try not to do it anymore. Not a question, just forgive me. Please give me the strength so that I can stop doing these things or which are displeasing to you. So that's the process of Vaidhi Bhakti. We're engaged in activities which are either, controlling or regulating those displeasing activities or avoiding them altogether by engaging in pleasing activities. When there's real love, there's no question of that. No question, it just takes time. So they go on simultaneously, let's say. But yes, if it's offensive, we're just saying, well, I'll just chant Hare Krishna and carry on with nonsense. In the beginning, that may be the case, but that's an offense against the holy name. So we try, pray, be sincere, repentant, and so on. If we're weak-hearted and we're still attached to material things, even though there's a desire, you can read various verses, and Krishna will help a person who's sincere. 11th canto, there's some nice verses in that regards. Even though my devotee, although he's, the sincerity is there, but still, because of weakness of heart, sometimes he falls victim to the material senses. Still, the Lord therefore acts in relationship in a way to remove those weaknesses in due course of time. If we're sincere, we're not trying to justify or hide them. We're honest devotees. We're weak. We're not rude about Bhagavats. We've still got some material affection, material attachments, etc., and affected by it. We should, if we really want to realize Krishna, the pages of Bhagavatam, this is the process. Execute the service by serving those devotees who are free to voice. Great service is done by such service one gains an attraction. It's not just, that means why? Because Krishna is pleased by the service that you render, and therefore he cleanses the heart. And naturally, one's attraction to hearing and chanting as the disease of ignorance becomes removed, then naturally the sweet taste of sugar, as jaundice disease is cured, taste of sugar becomes sweet. Similarly, as our dark, dirty hearts, or whatever it is, we may not even see. When you're in the dark, you don't even know what light is. You think it's light. We identify with our nonsense conceptions and our attachments and our speculations as realities. At some point of time, we may start waking up. And as that all becomes cleansed, then we start to develop a real attraction, hearing messages of Godhead. Okay, Roger. Thank you, Roger. Hare Krishna. We are starting your Namahata program this Friday. Fantastic. That's Gaur Purnima. What a day to start. I wanted to serve them with very nice prasadam. You have answered my question. Thank you, Gaur. Gauri, don't worry about what people say. Just tell them to talk to that rascal sannyasi over here, okay? They can write, oh, dog, call me a dog, a demon, whatever, I don't mind. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Already started. Yes. Has the revolution that Srila Prabhupada spoke about already started? It certainly has. How should we understand it? An internal or external revolution? Is it visible? Will it take long before we're all revolutionized Krishna consciously? Thank you. Hare Krishna. Well, it would certainly take some time by the looks of it. But we don't, it's a remarkable thing, it's air-conditioned nature, how to see this. Oftentimes we would expect to see, like many Christian people paint pictures of heaven, everyone's kissing each other, and grandmother's there and granddaddy is there. Everyone's, it's a wonderful picture. Only God is missing. There's no God. Everyone else is there, and it's like heaven on earth, and no one's hurting the animals, and it's all very nice. The sun always shines. It's beautiful green trees and grass, and rivers are flowing with pure, crystal clear water. There's abundance of all natural produce. Everything is fine. There's no disease. There's no death. There's no old age, and so on and so forth. It's wonderful. Picture, dream. So sometimes a little bit like that we expect to see Varnashram flourishing and people easily giving up all their sinful activities, and the governments, becoming more and more pious. But in many ways, we see the opposite, it seems like, taking place. More demoniac, more mundane, education, the pharmaceutical aspect of life, the economic aspect of life, the political aspect of life, the social aspect of life, the scientific aspect of life, the technological aspect. Everything seems to be going the opposite way almost. What's happening here? It doesn't seem like there's of course, we know there are hundreds of thousands of practicing devotees all over the world. So on the positive side, we see there are millions of vegetarians. We see that there are millions of people who are fed up with it all, maybe billions. You can see many positive things if you want to compare at the same time. Well, let's see what Krishna's plans are. The revolution has begun, but revolution means returning to the original, by the way. And it's not necessary. It might be, let's see what Krishna allows. There might be some arrangements going on to force the issue and bring things to what we might visualize as being a bit more of a revolutionary transformation. But the real transformation is within the heart. We can't see what's going on there. Even in our own hearts, we know what we know. But others, we can't see. How Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement is. He is Patit Pavana. We just can't say. I'm not saying it is, but who can say that a person who's chanting Hare Krishna, or even chanted once, what happens to them when they die? Even though they're a demon in this life, it looks like. The demons in Krishna Lila were liberated. Those who were killed by Krishna, anyway. Who knows what's going on? Who knows? Vasudev Datta, he prayed that may all the living entities in the universe be delivered. Let me stay here forever and suffer for whatever reactions are there. Obviously we might say things like that, but we're not Vasudev Datta. We might say something like I don't know how much we really mean that. I don't know if we know what it means even. But the Lord said that even if they're all delivered by your will, they are delivered. By the will. Prabhupada writes in one purport, he said, still the universe will be filled up with others, and you won't even notice that anything's ever happened. Because 11 jivas would just carry on as if nothing happened. And another set of jivas, Prabhupada said. In the purport to one amazing purport in the Srimad Chaitanya Charitamrita, when Shivananda Sain was going to Jagannath Puri, and that dog followed him all the way to Puri. No, he didn't. He followed to a certain point, then went on his own to Puri. And that dog then took shelter of Lord Chaitanya and went back to Godhead. And Prabhupada writes, by the mercy of a devotee, by Shivananda's mercy, that dog went back to Godhead. He accepted that dog. By his wishes, that dog went back to Godhead. Prabhupada said, if all my disciples become pure devotees, like Shivananda was saying, just by their desire alone, everyone will go back to Godhead, even without their knowledge. These are Prabhupada's words. So how that works? God only knows. I don't know. Anything is possible. All I know is anyone in any way whatsoever who's come into contact with Srila Prabhupada's movement, with Lord Chaitanya's movement, is eternally blessed. When they go back to Godhead, I do not know. If that's not a revolution, I don't know what is. Every single person who's taken one grain of rice, who's seen a devotee, who's chanted Hare Krishna, or whatever they chant, or taken a book, given us 1 cent donation, is on their way back to Godhead. Even if they say, get the hell out of here, you Hare Krishnas, they're on their way back to Godhead. It may take some time, whatever, transformation. But if that's not a revolution, I don't know what is. This is a revolutionary movement. And the more we act in that spirit, if you want to say revolution, you can. Returning back to God. Revolution starts at home. Charity begins at home. In their own hearts, let's start a revolution in our own hearts, and then it will really accelerate. It's not just a mechanical thing on either. That's also good and going on. But the revolution with their own hearts, change of heart. Change of heart, as Prabhupada said, if all my disciples become pure devotees. The battle's won already. The war's won. It's just a matter of time. That's Lord Chaitanya's arrangement. How it works remains to be seen. But the revolution is going on full swing, even if we don't see it from our external measurements, ideas, concepts. All these things are only to help the revolution, but the revolution is not on this plane. It's that living it is never take birth again. Go back to Godhead. We can't see that transformation taking place easily. We may just judge it by externals, and certainly to a large extent that's there, but it's not the only consideration. Even if it is, it still doesn't mean that the revolution that takes time, every revolution takes time, is already begun. The seed is planted. The poison is already injected, as Prabhupada said, within. Can't do anything about it, just a matter. It's like radioactivity. Gradually creeps up and eventually complete. Okay. Thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Have a little kirtan. Close shop there. Hey, the doers with us today. Hare Krishna. Thank you. It worked. We worked on hotspot today, and we're all on a hotspot. We've got 2 ways: either a hot fire of the Sankirtan movement or a blazing fire of material existence. But it's not the fire. Bhakti Siddhanta said, if the fire of the Sankirtan Yoga didn't blaze, then the fire of samsara will blaze. Let's get into the fire of the Sankirtan Yoga, whatever way we can. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Prabhupada ki jai. Haribo! Haribo! From Fiji to New Zealand to Australia to Philippines to Singapore to Malaysia to India to America to Russia to Germany to everywhere. France, Holland, England,
Haribol.
Slovakia.
Haribol, Haribol.
You are
Hare Bol.
Denmark. Jai. Gaur Premanandi.
Hare
Haribol.
Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Gaur Purnima ki jai.
Jai.
Harinam Sankirtan ki jai.
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 Premanandi.